Jehovah's Witnesses ruin families, and I want you to have your eyes open because I don't want this to happen to you. All right, I want you to look at this article. If you are not a Jehovah's Witness, but you have Jehovah's Witness family, you need to understand that your Jehovah's Witness family thinks they're better than you. I'm really passionate about this because Jehovah's Witnesses have received a free pass for far too long. They're harmless. They're your family. Behind your back, they're condescending, gossip, or at the very least, they pity you. I'm passionate about this because when I was growing up as a Jehovah's Witness, I was not allowed to form bonds with my non-Jehovah's Witness family. And if you, as the non-Jehovah's Witness family member, continue to give them a free pass, let that comment slide, or invite that craziness into your home in the name of tolerance, and they screw you over, you will only have yourself to blame after this video. I don't want that to happen to you. All right, here we go. How to help our unbelieving relatives. Okay, this whole article is insane. I'm just going to hit the highlights throughout this video. You can read it in its entirety. I'll leave a link. The focus of the article says how to maintain good relationships with unbelieving relatives and how to help them spiritually if possible. So that's going to be the main focus of this article. All right, number one, right out the gate, you notice how it says your unbelieving family? If you are a, quote, believer, you identify as Christian or whatever, you belong to some church, you might be laboring under the misconception that you and your Jehovah's Witness relative, whether it's your sister, your sister-in-law, your aunt, uncle, or whatever, you might be laboring under the misconception that you guys actually have a closer connection than you think because of your shared love for Jesus, your shared belief in Christ. You are sorely mistaken. Jehovah's Witnesses do not consider Jesus their savior or mediator. I know they say that. They say it in all their literature. They really believe it too. But the reality is, and I speak no lie, Jehovah's Witnesses live and die by the final word of their corporate leadership in upstate New York known as the governing body. All right, if the governing body says jump, Jehovah's Witnesses will say how high. And also too over here where it's like, we're going to show you how to help them spiritually. That right there signals to them they have to save you. You need to be saved by them. You need to be saved by your Jehovah's Witness family, right? This is their agenda. Do not be fooled. You guys are not on the same page. Okay, paragraph 2. Do you recall how you felt when you first learned the good news? You likely could not keep it to yourself. Your loved ones, however, may not have responded positively, or the way you presented the truth, may have caused friction between you and them. If so, how can you maintain or restore good relationships with your relatives without compromising Christian standards? The good news is an unbelievably corny term that they need to officially retire from their vocabulary. Another extremely important point that I want to make crystal clear at the beginning of this rebuttal, what they are not saying in this paragraph. Oh, remember when you first learned the good news and you just couldn't keep it inside? What they are not saying is that your Jehovah's Witness family member, I can guarantee you with 99.99999% certitude, was born in. Translation? They didn't choose to be Jehovah's Witnesses. This is extremely important because they make it sound like, you were just a moral free agent, grown-ass adult, got your own apartment, someone came to your door, you took in all this info. Oh, you learned, Jehovah's Witnesses, the good news. So you took in all this information and said, I am ready to sign on the dotted line. Nope. Most likely, your Jehovah's Witness family member is a second, third, or fourth generation witness who has been brainwashed from birth. And finally, from this paragraph, it may have caused friction. The way you presented the truth may have caused friction between the two of you. I don't have any reason to have a problem with you until you give me a reason. You're doing your thing. It's not bothering me. It's not hurting anybody. It's not causing any problems. Why would your newfound beliefs cause friction? All right, so hopping over here to paragraph 8. Consider the motives behind their words and actions. Jesus' brothers may have been among the relatives who once said that he had gone out of his mind. Why might they have come to that conclusion? The context shows that Jesus was so much in demand that he did not even have time to eat a meal. Did his relatives think that he was being fanatical? It is possible. Our relatives may think that we take our religion far too seriously. If they feel that way, we do well to show by our actions how reasonable we truly are. Our relatives may think that we take our religion far too seriously. In 2016, a young Canadian Jehovah's Witness mother refused a blood transfusion during labor and delivery and died a week later, leaving behind a son who will never know his mother. In 2021, Jehovah's Witness children were indoctrinated that if they eat a birthday cupcake from a classmate, they'll officially be on God's shit list. In 2013, Jehovah's Witnesses were told, do not even exchange an email with a disfellowshipped family member. A few years later, a Jehovah's Witness propaganda video instructs parents to treat their own child like they don't even exist if they leave the organization. Jehovah's Witnesses have been harboring a database of sex offenders spanning over 70 years that they have refused to hand over to law enforcement. And currently, the Norway Supreme Court and several other countries are investigating Jehovah's Witnesses for human rights violations. Look, if Jehovah's Witnesses were a restaurant, you're looking at the menu, it's like, okay, you can have diarrhea, heartburn, AIDS, or die, but we have really nice napkins. If you have to think about it, if you got to tell your parishioners, like, dude, act natural, okay? Act natural. If they have to perform some sort of like religious breathalyzer to convince you that they're not fanatical, red flag. Okay, paragraph 9. Let your conduct speak for you. Our kind words and actions can move our relatives to change the way they feel about us. An unbelieving husband could easily feel left out or upset when his wife attends congregation meetings or goes out in the ministry. Because she does not want him to feel that way, she might adjust her schedule of spiritual activities in order to spend more time with him. For example, she could share in the ministry when her husband is busy or not at home. By being flexible and reasonable, a Christian wife might help her husband to reconsider his opinion of the witnesses. Oh, Jesus Christ, there's so much to unpack here. You notice it doesn't say, be kind for the sake of being kind because that's how you should treat people. It's saying act a certain way to get them on your side. This is what I'm talking about. Jehovah's Witnesses' behavior is always duplicitous. There is always a motive behind Jehovah's Witnesses' actions, including your Jehovah's Witness family member. And that motive is to make sure that Jehovah's Witnesses look good and to improve their image. I mean, again, it says it might change how they feel about us. What have you done? It doesn't necessarily have to mean your specific JW relative. But what have you done as an organization, as Jehovah's Witnesses, that would make them think otherwise? What have you done as witnesses to make them maybe not trust you as an organization or want nothing to do with you? All right, that's the question we should be asking. And B, this whole long-suffering wife trope is extremely tired. This has been in their arsenal, has been in their literature for decades. It's been in their arsenal for decades. If the husband is unsupportive or he's just an outright POS, it's always her responsibility, right, to fix him. Let me give you guys a little insider perspective on this whole wife thing and unbelieving husband. Why isn't she married to a Jehovah's Witness? This is what happens. There are a ton of single Jehovah's Witness women. They're single, they're lonely, they're sexually frustrated. They can't find a compatible mate in the organization that they want to make a baby with. So they go out into the world, find a man, and make the baby. I'm not even being sarcastic. I get it. It's a tough spot to be in. I was one of Jehovah's Witnesses for 30 years. I saw this happen all the time. Fine. Go and don't come back. I want her to ride off into the sunset and be happy. Cool. The problem is, a lot of them come back to the organization out of a guilty conscience. And the husband didn't sign up for that shit. So don't give me any of this, oh, poor thing, our poor sister, she's serving Jehovah and she's just randomly in this situation where she has an unbelieving husband. He just has a bad attitude. That's not what's happening. This is a born-in Jehovah's Witness who went out, came back, and now the husband is stuck in a crazy, acrimonious marriage because he didn't realize what he was getting himself into. All right, my dudes, any guys out there watching this, you maybe have a little office crush who's a Jehovah's Witness? It's not worth it, my brother. You guys hook up, you get married, you have a kid, or whatever the deal is. You are looking at a custody hellscape if baby mama decides she wants to go back to the organization, if she decides she needs to go back to Jehovah. All right, you've been warned. All right, paragraph 10, do not feel pressured to respond to all criticism. When Jesus was falsely accused of eating and drinking too much, he did not become defensive. Instead, he encouraged people to look at the facts. He also showed by his example that he had a balanced view of life. Likewise, do not feel that you have to respond to every criticism. Rather, show your relatives through your actions that you are balanced and happy and let them draw their own conclusions. They may be moved to reject false information that they have heard about us. All right, Jesus encouraged people to look at the facts, and you should let your worldly, unbelieving family draw their own conclusions. You mean you think that they should be allowed to use their critical thinking skills? This is just blatantly hypocritical, because if Jehovah's Witnesses were to, quote, acknowledge the facts, the truth about their organization, they're a traitor. They're an apostate. They are silenced and shunned. What this is really saying, well, don't just read something online and let that sway you. They're saying, go to the source, come to us. Don't just believe anything you read on the internet. Come to us and get the, quote, facts under any other circumstances. I would agree with this. I mean, anybody can talk trash on the internet or say stuff. You should go to the person, you should go to the source and hear their side. However, you got 6,000 reviews on Amazon about a pair of leggings that gave everyone an infection in their crotchal area. Then you got 10 people, giving it 5 stars, and they're like, these are the best leggings ever. Don't read those other reviews. They're liars. What is the likelihood? What are the odds that those 6,000 people who are like, yep, can't even sit down anymore, are all lying? And over here it says, be balanced and happy. As one of Jehovah's Witnesses, this was actually precisely what drove me to a nervous breakdown. This is emotional terrorism, okay? You are an emotional hostage of the leadership. They have a proverbial gun to your head, and they're going, yep, that's right. Keep smiling. Yeah, you're goddamn right you're happy. What are you going to do? You speak up, you lose everything. And I did. Lost my family. You never, ever speak ill of the organization. That's why it probably looks like your Jehovah's Witness family member is doing fine. They are never going to say anything negative about the organization. And again, finishing off that paragraph with, they may be moved to reject false information that they have heard about us. What's so ironic about this article is if I didn't suspect something before, I sure as hell do now. You're so dumb.
You are so dumb. You are really dumb. For real.
To keep using these qualifiers and this saccharine language. We're balanced. We're happy. We're flexible. We're so reasonable. Be kind. Be warm. Blah, 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 blah. You're actually making yourself more suspicious.
Don't be suspicious. Don't be suspicious.
Swear to God, you ever met that couple where every 5 seconds they're like, we're so in love. We finish each other's sentences. And like every 5 seconds they have to post a photo holding hands or like him cradling her belly in a field. It's like, we get it. Now I think you're in the middle of a divorce. Like why do you need to push this narrative so hard that everything is false, it's all lies, and we're such happy people? Like you're not helping your cause. Okay, so sort of rounding out here towards the end, they do this again in paragraph 18. And I don't use this word often, if at all. I rarely use the word creepy. But now it's actually, as you read this article, it's actually creepy. It says here in paragraph 18, they're talking about in this paragraph that you should introduce your non-Jehovah's Witness family members to the congregation so they can be love bombed and so they can be roped in. Okay, so it's saying, as we introduce him to fellow believers, he will see that witnesses are normal, decent people. Like, why do you need to say that? This is an incredibly defensive article for an organization that claims to be innocent. Despite our best efforts, our unbelieving relatives may not show interest in the truth or respond favorably when we show personal interest in them. Over time, our loving conduct may move them to change how, again, see, there we go, move them to change how they feel about us. They may even remember the beliefs we shared with them in the past. Okay, don't give up, but we may have the joy of seeing some of our dear relatives join us in true worship. Again, you're not true. You're false, you're broken, you're stupid, you need us. But also, never give up on your non-believing relatives. You want to know why? Because there's still hope for you to be manipulated. If you were raised as a Jehovah's Witness and the veil has lifted, maybe you always knew it was BS, but you finally stood up for yourself and you left all this warm, fuzzy Christian love, withdrawn effective immediately. If you have Jehovah's Witness family, do not accept their literature, do not attend the memorial, and if you are DF'd, DA'd, or POMO, do not let them use your children as pawns. Well, we'll come to see our grandson or granddaughter, whatever. But you and I won't speak. You know why, because you don't serve Bitch, bye. You take all of us or there's the door. As for me and my household, I'm not going to train my child that this behavior is acceptable. The cycle ends now. Your Jehovah's Witness family member is totally entitled to their beliefs and their way of life and their worship. That's totally fine. But don't let them take you for stupid. So anyways, I hope you learned something. Thank you so much for watching. Go ahead and hit that like and subscribe button, and I will see you in the next video.